What is up, popsicle fans? This is Community Ice Cream Man. My name is MoshPitNoel Knox, and today the ice cream inside the box is anime Apricot. The reason being is because today I asked, well, a couple days ago back and today, I asked my followers on Twitter to ask me anime, video game, and personal questions like hobbies and interests, and I'm gonna answer them on the Q&A to get to know me a little bit better. So, editor man. So this first question is kind of an easy one that I want to get out of the way first. The first question that was asked to me by Ruby Red 1120, shout outs to you, was what are my top 3 favorite animes and why? So my number one, or maybe I'll start going up. My top 3, my first 3 is Ghost in the Shell, the movie. The first one, very first movie. The reason why that kickstarted my love for the cyberpunk neo-science genre. So you're thinking Akira, Ghost in the Shell, Psychopath, stuff like that. That's a really futuristic cyber vibe to it. I also really like the compelling question that movie asks, kind of about like individuality, identity, you know, like what's really going on up here. So that's the reason why I really like Ghost in the Shell so much. That's my number 3. My number 2 is Samurai Champloo. I'm a Watanabe enthusiast, nerd. We idolize that man pretty much. The reason being is because he does such a good job of making his characters important and making the story about the character. He's so character driven that you grow a special attachment to each of the characters, even if it's one that you don't necessarily love. Like Jin, like my favorite out of the 3 is Mugen, but like Jin, I still felt a connection with his story. I really enjoyed the, you know, the emphasis on the pain and suffering, I guess, that he endured. Like you can really see it in his mannerisms and his face, and then when you find out his backstory, you understand why he has that. And number 1, like I said, I am a Sejihiro Watanabe fan, and if you know anything about me, if you're like really close to me, you know that Cowboy Bebop is my number 1 favorite anime. Spike Spiegel is my number 1 favorite character of all time of anime. That anime just done so much for me, basically. It kickstarted my love of jazz music. It kickstarted my love of character, detail-oriented animes. Everything about it, from Faye's backstory, Ed, Spike, Jet, you know. It's a emotional adventure that you get hooked into from the beginning. Also the aesthetic, the art style, that dusty, roaric look really captured my eyes when I was a little, you know, little boy, little jit. But yeah, those are my top 3 favorite animes of all time. Thanks for the question. The next question was asked by a follower by the name of Segoi Sauce. Hopefully I pronounced that correctly because I don't want to butcher anyone's Twitter name. But they asked me, what is my favorite food? And me being a Jamaican, a Caribbean, shout out to all my youths, I love anything spicy, you know, anything hot. So that goes curry goat, curry chicken, rice and peas, you know, stuff like that, oxtails. But for my American side of things, I love a good handcrafted pizza. I love a good hot sandwich, you know, Philly cheesesteaks, hot pastrami. Another thing about me is I love cereal. I love cereal. Probably top 3, Cinnamon Toast Crunch, Rice Krispies. Ooh, sorry, not Rice Krispies, Captain Crunch. Rice Krispies is okay, but I don't know why I said Rice Krispies. And some of you may be looking at me like, really? About this next one? I love Honey Nut Cheerios. Like, I think a nice cold bowl of Honey Nut Cheerios just hits the spot just right for me personally. And in honorable mentions, I like honeycombs. My grandmother used to, when I was living with her, that's my granny, she used to give me honeycomb every morning for breakfast before I would go to school when I was in elementary school, primary school. So, you know, I fell in love with that, and you know, to honor her, I keep eating them. So that's my favorite food. Hope you guys like this question. Another food related question, but this one is anime related. My boy Gio Setsuna asked me, what is my favorite anime food or dish? Now, I've watched tons and tons of Shokugeki, you know, Soma, Food Wars, and I'm probably gonna go with one of those dishes. And if I have to pick, it's probably that egg risotto thing that Soma made. It was one of the challenges where they had to like feed a certain amount of people in a certain amount of time. I think it was like 200 dishes they had to serve, and he's like, yo, it's not working out. And it, for like why I liked that so much and why I just say it's my favorite, it was just the explanation that went into it, the craftsmanship that was showed, like of how hard that dish was to make and to pull it off in a short amount of time to do it. And just plus, if you know, if I throw it on screen somewhere, I'll throw it on screen, it just looked great. It's just like one of those things that you just go, yo, I want to try to make that on my own. Which, you know, for those of you that don't know about me, I have a little bit of, you know, expertise in the kitchen. You know, I like to go in there and throw down every now and again. So yeah, that risotto thing that Sora made, I don't know the actual name of it. Maybe I'll throw it on screen somewhere too. I thought that was dope. That's my favorite anime. So my good follower, World of Inu, asked me, why do I not like Xbox? And this is a funny question. This is a video game question, obviously. This is a funny question because some of my personal friends and some of my followers on Twitter will always hear me say something. Anytime Xbox is mentioned, I'll never get an Xbox, never play Xbox. And, you know, I make jokes. That's what I do. I'm a comedy guy. But to tell you the truth, I have played Xbox 360 before. I've touched the Xbox One a little bit, but I've never personally owned an Xbox. And the reason being is because, well, my video game journey started in the arcade playing fighting games. That's why, you know, I'm a fighting game guy or whatever. That's why my PlayStation background back here, I don't know if it's on right now, it's not, is Kazumi from Tekken 7. But then my first home console that I had was a PS2. My wallet, as you can see, if you guys can see that, is a PlayStation wallet. I have always felt that you should be loyal to the things that give you the most joy. And for me, PlayStation, Sony has given me the most joy in my video game journeys, so I will never switch up. Plus, personally, I feel like the games are just better on PlayStation. Some of my favorite video games, which we'll get in another question, Devil May Cry on the PlayStation, Kingdom Hearts on the PlayStation. It's just, they hit different. So that is why I guess you can say I don't like Xbox, even though it's just a personal preference. That is why. So this next question is a very deep-rooted question with lots of, well, I should say with deep-rooted emotions rather. It was asking me by Chuck Diggity, what do I feel about esports? Now, as someone, a little background history on me, as somebody who started, I played Call of Duty amateurly, you know, for the hopes of getting on a pro team and stuff like that. Way back in the day, I started playing it in COD 4, and I always just had a competitive nature in about me. I was an asthmatic child growing up. I was a sickly child, nowhere near like I am now. You know, I've gotten better with it. So the only thing that I could really do, you know, was play video games. As far as I get my competitive nature out, if I wanted to play a sport, and I thought the fact that, you know, here was a chance, like you could be a competitive gamer in esport. I thought that was really cool. After a while, I kind of dropped the Call of Duty thing, and I was playing fighting games all my life. I've been playing fighting games all my life, and I said, you know what? They have tournaments, they have brackets and things like that. I'll join that. And now I am a Smash commentator for Smash Bros. Ultimate at a weekly tournament here in New Jersey. It's called Fusion. You can check us out. Link will be down in the description. We stream every Monday starting at 7:30. So here's to say that esports is very important to me. I think it is a very flourishing business now that a lot of things like Call of Duty is franchising. They have not just teams, they have states that they represent now. The Overwatch League, League of Legends, Counter-Strike, you know, these are, you know, big tournaments with big prize pools. I think it's something that there's already a huge spectator sport. I think literally like one of the League of Legends tournaments had more an audience turnout, more viewers than the Super Bowl did. Maybe I think I was like a year ago, maybe 2 years ago, if I remember reading that statistic correctly. So yeah, I think esports is very important to those of us who are not as physically inclined to play sports at a high level, but those of us who love video games. So that's my answer for that. Thanks for this question. I love this. So this next question was asked of me by Lemmy_Lemmy, no cloud necessary. And you know this is a wrestling channel. I gotta represent, got the Kenny Omega Terminated t-shirt on, you know, too sweet, all the wrestling bros and sisters out there. asked me 2 tag teams, the Lucha Brothers or the Young Bucks. I wonder, are you asking me which one is better? Who do I prefer as far as match style and just them? I love both teams. But you know what? I'm gonna go with the Lucha Brothers on this one. I like them a lot because, one, the masks and everything that they do, their gear is super cool. And the Young Bucks too, like, they got great gear as well. That's one. Their wrestling style is really unique. The way that they are in sync with each other is really amazing. And plus, to be quite honest with you, I'm gonna just say this. If you watch the Lucha Bros match, you probably watch a Young Bucks match because they wrestled each other so much in the last 4 to 5 years that, like, really you could run maybe an hour-long DVD of just Young Bucks Lucha Bros matches. So really, you can't lose with picking either one team, but I'm gonna go with the Lucha Bros on this one. Love those guys. So, the future of anyone asked me, what is my underrated anime of all time? And I'm just gonna go out on a limb and say, not go out on a limb, but something that I truly feel is K-On! Is super underrated. Yes, I said what I said. K-On! I feel like people outside of that genre, like fans, like I like stuff like that, like cute slice of life type schoolgirl animes, I really enjoy. It was an innocence about it, you know, these 5 girls just wanted to have their after school tea time and make their music, and they loved each other, and it was such a beautiful thing, that the bonds that they were creating and stuff like that, I just really enjoyed it. But I feel like people who are not fans of that stuff outside of that genre would just never give it a shot. Like, not even knowing if they would like it or not, they just wouldn't give it a shot just because they see what it is and how it is. Plus, I love music animes. As I said in my, one of my other responses, Cowboy Bebop started my love for jazz animes. Any anime that has a really, really profound soundtrack, and I love. And, K-On! They tried something different, with their, cute anime music style. So, K-On! Is what I feel is a really underrated anime. There's probably a whole lot more that I, can't think of the top of my head. But K-On! Is what I'm going to go with. Thanks for the question. So, Baby Sora, you got lucky. You asked me 2 questions in one, so I'm going to answer both of them. Asked me, what is my favorite video game of all time? And what's the first video game I ever played? So, favorite video game of all time is Devil May Cry 1. This was hard to select because I have tons and tons of video games that I just love so much, from PlayStation, from Nintendo, from PC games even. Excuse me. But I love the aesthetic of the game. The combat was just unique and special. The aesthetic of the characters. I love Dante's whole red coat thing, the 2 guns and sword. It was just cool. Also, I am a punk rock metal band fanatic guy. I love that type of music. That's my name is MoshPitNoel for a reason. And the music, the soundtrack in that game is mostly, all too important to any game. So the game just personally spoke to me in here. That's why I love Devil May Cry 1. It's my favorite game. 2, second part. What was the first video game I ever played? So, story time. One time my grandmother was going to the laundromat. She said, you gotta come with me, because I'm like 5, 6 years old. Of course, I can't stay in the house by myself. If only I could. And I'm being a rambunctious child when I'm around the laundromat, not listening. So she goes ahead and says, here, quarters, find a game to play. And there's a Tekken 3 machine. I landed on that. And I'm like, okay, give this a shot. Don't know what I'm doing. So I'm just, tickety tack and pressing buttons or whatever. But for whatever reason, it was just satisfying, like to, just play the game and, the feel that the fight stick, the arcade stick, and the buttons had on my hands. I really enjoyed it at like 5, 6 years old. So I kept going back to that laundromat just to play Tekken 3. And that started my love of fighting games, to this day. My love for Tekken, so much so that for Tekken 7, if you can see, I got the Steelbook edition that comes with the game, which is in my PlayStation right now. And it comes with the soundtrack. I don't know if you guys can see that good or not, but that's why I also have this fight stick. It is the Mad Cow Alpha Street Fighter edition. It's the mini one. I got small hands. I don't really need a large stick to do what I need to do. I can carry it around. It's compact. If you guys want, I'll leave the link in the description, the Amazon link to where I got this from. You guys can buy it. Check it out for yourself. But thanks for the question. Otaku Junkie asked me, what anime characters do I relate to the most? I'll give you 3. Spike, L, and Rio from Devil May Cry, baby. And I know some of you are gonna go, you mean Satan? Yes, and I'll explain to that why. Some of the things that he said made a lot of sense in my mind. Like where he's talking, And it goes, I don't understand why you're crying about this. You knew it was going to die. And there was a quote that Childish Gambino said at his Grammy acceptance speech where he said something along the lines, if more things had death clauses, we'll be a whole lot better off. Meaning what he's trying to say is sometimes you just have to let things end. And I kind of live my life that way where it's just like, you know, if something is finished, then you have to let it be finished, because I can't keep holding on and being handcuffed to something that's not worth me being handcuffed to. So that's why I picked Rio. Second, I believe I said second was L from Death Note. Yes, I did. He has this obsession with sweets, and so have I. Even before I watched Death Note, you know, even as like a kid and a teenager, and now I'm an adult, I really like sweets, cookies, candies. My favorite snack of all time is butterscotch crumpets. So if you ever see me like slide some butterscotch crumpets my way, and I'll love you. And just the way his brain worked, he was so analytical and, you know, detective-like, of course, being the world's greatest detective. Just the way, like, you know, the way his logic worked was really cool. And then there's Spike Spiegel, Mr. Cool Guy, Mr. Smooth, Calm, and Collected himself. This is my favorite MC of all time. Mans was just like, he could fight. He was philosophical. He was, you know, a high head at times as well. He just was really cool, and I just related to that. I wanted to be Spike growing up, and I failed. Let's just be honest, I failed. I'm not cool, I'm a spaz. But either way, those are my top 3 anime characters that I relate to the most. So, the Mighty Ellen Aiko asked me, what's the first instance where I lost a friend? And to be quite honest with you, I can't really say like any of my friends had like big blowouts where we're just like, oh, we're not friends anymore, I don't like you anymore, this, that, and the third. It's just kind of, you know, I just kind of let life take its course. If me and a person stopped talking, it was meant that we were not to talk anymore. So it just is what it is. People move on. That's what life is about. It's about gradually getting ahead. And if someone is supposed to be in your life, then they will stay there. If they're not meant to be there, they won't be there. So I can't really think of a real instance where I just flat out lost someone. Not to say I haven't argued with friends anymore before, but it just never got to that point where it was like, yeah, okay, we're done here. Question. It got it from Instagram, and one of my friends asked it, and I think it's pretty funny, so I'm going to answer it. So Luch, if you watch this, hopefully you get a kick out of this, but I'm sorry. The question is, do you eat ass or do you let your homie die? And you lived a good life, my boy. I'll see you at your funeral, fam. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. Well, my friends, it is time that the community ice cream man bids you adieu. I really enjoyed this video, and if you want to see more videos like this, make sure to like and comment down below to tell me that you want to see more things like this. Also, don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell, because what that does is give you a little notification on your computer or your phone, whichever device you're using, that lets you know about future videos that we have coming out in the future. But as always, stay frosty, my friend.